22422. That's our SMS line. And if you're online at Citizen TV Kenya, at Citizen TV News, I beg your pardon, please use the hashtag Opinion Court. It allows us to track your conversation. As I mentioned earlier, we're discussing President Uhuru Kenyatta's extended tour at the coast. Was it a development tour or a political one? Joining us now to discuss this and more is the Majority Whip in the Senate, Beatrice Elachi. Mustafa Idi is the Member of Parliament for Kilifi South. He's right next to her. In the middle is Edward Kisiangani, our resident political analyst. And next to me, Abdikadir Aden. He's the Member of Parliament for Balambala. You're all welcome to the program. So, I'll start with that general question that we're posing. Prof, in your opinion, has this been a political or development tour?
It's both. But first of all, before I say that, I want to express my sympathies for our troops in Somalia. Those who lost their lives, I think we can never say enough. So, pole sana for everybody who has been affected. The country's mourning. We hope it doesn't happen again.
And I believe those are the sentiments of everyone on the panel.
We support our troops.
Okay.
So, about the president's visit extended visit to Mombasa, there is no way you can draw a line between development and politics. You know, politics is the realistic distribution of resources. Economists will say the optimal, so they will keep quoting what is balancing and what is not balancing. But for politics, you look at the realistic points. What is realistic at the cost is that the president did not receive a lot of votes from there, and yet he needs that vote. So he has gone back, he made certain promises, so he has gone there, and he says, I am the torch of development in the coast. So one of the things he talked about in his manifesto was to deal with the land crisis. He has made some movement in that direction with regard to Waitiki and now with the Taita Taveta. To the common person, I think he's addressing some of the things he said during the election campaign. So that brings development. So he's saying, choose me as your political leader and I will promote development in your place. And if you don't, I won't? If you don't, you can trust me because what I said, I'm now doing it. But then, you know, when you say, if you don't choose me, then how can I do it? I need to have political power in order to pursue this development agenda. So really, there's no separation between the two things. They are intertwined. They are actually Siamese twins. Okay, fair enough. Mustafa, let me bring you in because you're an ODM MP and your party has opposed what's happening at the coast. They're saying it's basic politics, but you have a different view. Why is that?
I don't have a different view, but the truth of the matter is that even though it can be both political and development, but it is more of a development working tour. And I don't know when the president is coming back to Nairobi, but
tomorrow,
I wish he can stay there until he finishes his second term, God willing and permitting. I have not seen the president doing politics in this tour because I was in the entourage of the president. We went to commission the airport road in Mombasa. And those who have been to Mombasa, you know very well how the road looks like when you leave the airport. We were with the president when he was issuing title deeds to residents of Waitiki Farm. I also saw the president in Lamu doing the same. We went to Sabaki commissioning a multi-million water project which will benefit residents of Kilifi, Malindi and Mombasa. So I think it's more of development.
All right, Abdikadir.
Thank you very much. I want to say I agree pretty much that it's probably a combination of both. But in my view, it was largely political. Let's state the facts as they are. This is 2016. We are headed into 2017. And we know that Coast is an ODM stronghold. And we've seen the president spending in places like Malindi, when in our view there were other very urgent national issues such as the crisis in Somalia that was happening. And as a commander-in-chief, we thought he will take time out to come and attend to those kind of issues. I would say it was largely political, no doubt. This is in preparation to 2017.
If we would pause on the Somalia one, because we're going to come back to that, what specifically rang as political? Mustafa has just lined out, 5 or 6 development projects. What to you was the political tone? Is it the timing?
I would say it is a combination of the look and feel of things. President Uhuru Kenyatta has always lived in Nairobi. We've never seen him do what we've seen him do in Mombasa, in his short sleeves and walking in rallies and talking in rallies and rhetorics that definitely sound the typical preparation or drumming for support from the coastal people.
Is he taking a leaf from his father's style of leadership?
I don't know. I didn't live in those days of his.
I just read a little. But go ahead.
But I would say that of course he did his bit, knowing that that's an ODM stronghold. At one point there were both of them, him and the deputy president, and almost the entire government was there. And you will see that it is politics from Malindi all the way down to Mombasa, sidelining the county governors. And if you are going there for development, if you are going there for development, then you will want to shake the first person who you want to shake hand when you arrive in Mombasa airport is the governor. And why would you avoid governor? And from what we know from the media now, he just lives a block away from where Joho lives.
All right.
Well, I think this is a presidential system, and within a presidential system you cannot separate politics with development. It goes hand in hand, and therefore what the president is trying to do is just to bring in the achievements he promised within the manifesto of Jubilee. And I think one of the things he told the Coast Province, even during his campaigns, that when I get into government, the first thing I will do is to deal with the issue of land, which we have politicized for many years. For the first time now in Mombasa, we saw Waitiki getting their 5,000 title deeds. The beneficiaries are both people from the whole of this country, and therefore it's land that has gone to all Kenyans, that Waitiki land. When you look at Kwale, the Kwale will be benefiting with more than 16,000 title deeds so far. When you look at Kilifi, where he comes from, 7,000 title deeds. In Lamu, 4,000 title deeds. Mombasa itself. So in total, we are saying within the Jubilee manifesto, we promised by the end of 2017, we'll have 3 million title deeds. So far with Jubilee, the whole country we've benefited with 2.3 million title deeds. Or
are you just doing what the former Prime Minister is accusing you of, just returning to the people what was already there?
I think there are two things. There are one, returning to the people. If I go today to Taveta, and when I look even at Waitiki, we are saying the beneficiaries will not be necessarily the people of Taveta. There will be the people now living on that land. So if we mix those politics, then you also bring in, people will start feel, are we the ones or are they the ones? And therefore for me, what the Prime Minister the former Prime Minister is trying to say is that this land belongs to this, and this balkanizing of communities is not right, especially on land issues. We are saying the beneficiaries of those living on land now at least can walk into a bank, use that title within his name. I think that's the most important thing we must appreciate.
Do you believe that you're making significant mileage in the coast? Because you said we can't separate the politics and the development. So if we were to talk the politics, do you think that this store has put a dent in a court stronghold?
I will say for the first time they will appreciate that we have seen development coming regardless of our vote. And that's the most important thing, that the president is going there as the president of the Republic of Kenya, not as a governor or anything, to say we are all Kenyans and we must benefit in the development of the agenda of the Jubilee government. I think that's the most important thing.
But I think, also maybe the questions you're asking point to something else. We must go deeper in this conversation and look at what the president is doing and the timing. This extended trip at the coast is coming against the backdrop of a series of scandals within Jubilee in terms of, and someone explained questions like Eurobond, and the tragic...
Is this strategic retreat then?
Yes, so I'm just making my point that, look, for example, we had a long strike by the teachers. And the image, the impression that was given to the public was that the Jubilee government is brutal. It's brutal because it handled the teacher strike very badly. Even when the courts had already ruled that they probably are right, the government did obey court orders and even withheld salaries. That is brutality. And so there is an image crisis within Jubilee. And coming immediately after that problem seems to have been resolved, I think the president is not politically timid. He's trying to repair image. And he knows if he starts, people in central Kenya and Rift Valley probably will bear with him, given the way our politics is decided.
I just want to cut you short there because I feel like you're jumping the gun a little bit on something I want to ask you a little later.
Yes.
But if you could stick on the image, repairing the image, etc.
Yes.
Do you think it is putting a dent in the traditional stronghold of CORD or not?
I think given the sensitive matters he's dealing with, he will do them a lot of damage, because I think what CORD is doing is it also talks a lot. There are a lot of people within CORD talk a lot, and some of the things they accuse the Jubilee government of doing, they also do them. How many of these big CORD fellows also own large chunks of land in this country, and they can never even release an acre to them? So really, the president...
So it's a bold move.
So it's a bold move, and definitely coming against the backdrop of the problems that Jubilee has been coming, the president has himself gone out to repair the damage of his own political wing, and to tell the people that, look, you entrust us with power in a year's time. We might have made mistakes, but we are practical, we can improve. How far that will go to reap enough votes for him, I don't know, but somehow he has walked away with some votes.
Hold that thought. Let's listen to what Raila Odinga has to say about that. I apologize about that. We're just going to try and get that clip for you again and listen again to the former Prime Minister. Okay, let's take another listen. I beg your pardon for that.
Uhuru akai Malindi hata mwaka moja. Kwenda siku moja peke yake ndio.
What the president will take a year to accomplish, Mustafa, can be undone by Raila in one day. That's what he's basically saying.
You know, to me personally, some sentiments expressed by colleagues, the likes of Honorable Abdikader, and lamenting why the president is extending his tour. It's an insult to the coastal people, because what they mean is that the coastal people, they don't deserve to have the president for more than 2 weeks, which to me, I think they need to apologize. They need to apologize. Is there?
Let me say, Annie, that at no time did I say that the president has no right to be there. In fact, the president has State House in Mombasa. He can sit in Mombasa for the rest of the year. But the question we were answering here is that trip political or is that trip developmental? And my answer is very, very clearly, by and large, that's a very political trip. And even when the president did those things that we thought are developmental in nature and giving away the Waitiki title deeds, he did not mince his words in telling them that you did not vote for me. You need to change the way you're doing, and you need to
but
vote
is that
for
not
me
a fact?
No, you see, it is a fact, but the reminder of it at a point when you're doing what is otherwise development is where we're saying that the line is very, very thin.
Development is politics. Whichever way you look at it, even within the international community, the development cannot be discussed outside politics. So really,
that may be the fact, Prof. That may be what actually happens, but I suppose the point you're making is, should he actually promote that and say that, yeah, this is correlated, that I am giving you this, knowing very well you're not going to give me a vote?
When he was giving the title deeds, he never said, it's because you never voted for me. I think the conversation was cut.
It was about paying the thing that they have to pay.
And he asked them, if you are able to have a house that you are getting rent of 3,000, and yet I'm saying in 12 years you are able to pay 1,000 bob per month. This one I'm giving you, you'll have to pay, even if you don't want to vote for me, You still didn't vote for me, but I'm doing what I promised. But you'll have to pay.
Let Abdikadir respond.
Let me say it this way. There is nothing wrong, first of all, in getting political mileage out of there. He needs to be re-elected in 2017, and he's making political mileage out of it. But let's admit it that there is politics in it, and this is what the gist of our discussion tonight, and where we're saying that, like my good brother Mustafa puts it, you should not be blinded to think that that's purely developmental trip that is there.
But do you think if it's now just about the politics, to answer this question so we can move forward, do you think he's making a dent?
Well, as CORD, as ODM, and time will tell this, we think that there's not been much effect. We are strong as it is. And I want to say confidently that Malindi will be at the litmus test of the contest in Coast.
Do you feel he's personally campaigning?
Of course, that we saw. Of course, that we saw happening. His emphasis on the Malindi area, and there is nothing wrong from a political point of view. He's doing probably what we will have done as well if in making political mileage out of his situation. But the truth is, he was politicking, and that is the fact that. But
it's also too early to measure the degree of success. Maybe as people absorb what he's doing, in maybe 2017 we might start seeing that. Historical processes don't take a day, so he may not reap from Malindi, but we have to watch out and see what happens in 2017 and a year's time, what kind of impact it is. But the bottom line is that these things go together. President Uhuru Kenyatta is not in Mombasa as a private citizen. He's there as the head of state. So whatever activities he gets engaged in, they have a political dimension.
Let's move to what you were talking about earlier, which is he is deliberately going to opposition strongholds first as part of his extended tours.
He is going to opposition strongholds because, like, let me say, let's talk about the crisis he has had, such as Eurobond, the problem of corruption in National Youth Service, and many other problems we have had recently. If, as far as our politics is concerned, if Uhuru Kenyatta goes to central Kenya and he tells people, do you think my government is corrupt? A lot of his voters, his supporters, where that's where his stronghold is, are likely to forgive him or to say there's nothing like that.
He's not in danger of losing his traditional
No,
base?
he can't. So? He can't by the nature of our politics. And because he has joined William Ruto, is that in the Rift Valley also, because of that coalition, they are likely to say, no, this is just propaganda. But in the opposition strongholds, the situation is different. Any grievance that comes out, unless you explain it well, it takes away all the voters. So strategically speaking, from a political perspective, the president has got it right by going to explain himself in opposition zones than his traditional areas. He can be forgiven for a lot of mistakes in central Kenya and the Rift Valley, but not at all in the coast, western, and also Nyanza. As you have seen, the same process is being undertaken by his deputy president. The deputy president has been calling in delegations from western Kenya and Nyanza. Why? It's the same strategy that Uhuru is using at the coast.
All right, but ladies and gentlemen, it's about time for us to round up, so I'm going to come round for a final round of comments as we get into the 2017 electoral period. You had mentioned earlier, the president should have been here to receive the bodies of our fallen heroes. He's coming back tomorrow. He's, well, at least we expect that he will, and that he will be visiting some of the injured soldiers. Is that good enough?
Let me say, and that what happened in Somalia is a terrible thing that happened to all of us as Kenyans, and we must stand in solidarity. I must say that it's probably one of the biggest tragedies that has hit us. There are a lot of bigger issues than just receiving the bodies. The whole strategy of Kenyan troops' presence in Somalia needs to be reviewed very, very seriously. The clandestine manner in which this whole situation was handled, to the extent that it is only today, 6 days after the incident happened, that the general in charge sits before cameras and tells Kenyans exactly what is happening, exactly what's going on. Anxiety of families, the miseries and the anxieties of the families that were affected, and of course all of us as Kenyans, is unexplainable. And I want to say that I think the sooner the president comes back and takes charge as a commander-in-chief on the situation which is going on right now, which is the biggest concern in the hearts of all Kenyans and in internationally is very, very important. I think he needs to come back sooner than later.
You know, and, I said earlier that those types of sentiments, those are the ones which really make us wonder if really our colleagues are sincere, because
your colleagues, you're in ODM.
My colleague, yeah, my colleague in ODM, because when he says that when the president comes back, when the president is in Mombasa, they don't think that he's in Kenya, and this I think Mombasa, Pwani in Kenya, and when the president is there, he's working for us. And I think the president has been working even for the tragedy which happened in Somalia. He was there, and I believe he's taking charge wherever he is, and we also deserve to have the president. He has been moving around, listening to our problems, giving us solutions, and that is exactly what we want.
What do you say to those who say your kind of politics sounds rebel-esque, if I may use that word?
That is a brand given by you media.
By the media.
But
I
actually,
believe your party uses it too.
But actually, what we
obvious so that when he calls me,
you people.
No. He's my colleague in ODM. He's my colleague in ODM. But we differ maybe in the way we think.
You're thinking.
Because I believe what people need is development. Empty talks, propaganda will not help our country.
All right, Sam.
I think for KDF, I just want to say this is the most sensitive operation we've seen ever since KDF went to Somalia. And I think you remember last time when we had the Westgate, and everyone, when people used to come on camera and you have no issue to say, we also had blames that why are you coming on camera and you have nothing. I think for the first time we've been patient, and I want to thank the media that you wait until you get clear information, so that even the families that are bereaved do not wonder, is it just a few families being talked to or all of us? So I think for me, we need to take it as it is. We have very many families who I know are bereaved. They are awaiting clear information. You've just heard the commandant saying very well, our chief commandant, that even to just identify the bodies, we shall have to use DNA. So when you hear that, as a Kenyan, I would say I would rather we leave it that way until we get clear information, so that as long as privately the families are getting their information, I think for us we can be patient enough, because we know it's very sensitive. For the president, I want to thank him for going to Mombasa. At least for the first time, I know in Mombasa, in Kilifi, in Kwale, in Lamu, primary schools are now all connected, that we and all over the country. I think for the first time, electricity is all over now in primary schools. By April, he will be launching the whole country. All primaries will have electricity. We need to thank him on that. We need to thank him on the last mile. And I think I would want to urge also our brothers in CORD and our sisters that when things are moving for our people, not for the president, for Kenyans, that they can see services now coming down, we need to appreciate that. When it's time to fight the Eurobond and the corruption that is there, which all of us are beneficiaries of those proceeds, I always say in business, I will never blame Jubilee or CORD. Every individual Kenyan who believes
on there's corruption in Eurobond,
or whether it's Eurobond, whether it's NYS, they'll come and say that, but in the end, he knows that he has the biggest camp in his Mbalambala on NYS. He can still benefit on it, so he cannot say it is corrupt. He needs development.
How about we debate NYS next week?
So for me, we need the programs back. We need our youth to benefit in that program. It was one of the best programs, and we need it back.
Bottom line?
For me, I think two, three quick things. For the president, receiving the soldiers, the bodies, he could still have done it in Mombasa, so no problem. I think he chose his way of doing things. But his presence in Mombasa is not out of order. He should continue being there as long as he wants. And for his opponents, I think he has sounded a warning. He has taken charge of the campaign trail, and he has taken off the station. And those who are still campaigning at low mode, you have to up your cards. He's moving. But the bottom line on this matter is this, and I keep wondering, should the president be the one launching, solving the Waitiki Blandi issue and being there physically? launch different road projects.
Or should it be the substantive cabinet secretary?
We have the CS in charge of communication. We have the CS in charge of land.
But isn't that where the politics comes in? It's a photo op.
Yes, but I'm now saying...
It has to be the face of it.
If you send a CS, the governor will start bringing again.
I mean, but that is the
point.
That's the way I'm saying. These are the questions that people keep raising. Should he be doing this?
He would have wished. He has just left the CS to receive KDF. We have already said he needed to be there to receive the body. You see now.
No, I think in the next parliament, because I am sure my sister will be in the next parliament.
Thank you for
Are you campaigning for?
No, but what I'm telling her is this: in the next parliament, try to empower the ministers more, so that the president has more urgent matters to do than to do what
I would wish that, and we thought that, but it's as if Kenyans
talking about reality. Get real. Those are real political marks. No one else is getting that photo. I'm not saying I support it, but certainly that's what his campaign team must be thinking. All right, that's where we wind up a video court for tonight. My thanks to all our guests for this fascinating conversation. We're back with the business news after this. Stay with Citizen.